In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired. Not from just any company from Apple. The company he started in his parents' garage. At just 30 years old, his biggest dream was taken away. But this failure would become one of the greatest comebacks in history. Steve Jobs was born in 1955 and adopted shortly after birth. He grew up in California, surrounded by innovation and technology. From a young age, Jobs was curious and rebellious. He loved electronics but hated traditional education. After enrolling in college, he dropped out within 6 months. Yet he continued attending classes that interested him, especially calligraphy. Years later, that obsession with design would shape Apple's future. In 1976, Steve Jobs and his friend Steve Wozniak started Apple in a garage. Their goal was simple: put a computer in every home. At a time when computers were huge and complicated, this idea sounded impossible. But the Apple II became a massive success. Within a few years, Apple turned into one of the fastest-growing companies in America. By age 25, Steve Jobs was already a millionaire. Success brought pressure. Jobs' intense personality created conflicts inside Apple. Disagreements with executives and the company's board grew worse. In 1985, Apple removed Steve Jobs from leadership. He was officially pushed out of the company he built. Jobs later described it as devastating. He felt lost and publicly embarrassed. But this moment changed everything. Instead of quitting, Jobs started over. He created a new company called NeXT. Around the same time, he bought a small animation studio called Pixar. Many people doubted him again, but Pixar went on to produce Toy Story, the world's first fully computer-animated movie. It became a global success. Meanwhile, Apple began struggling without Jobs' vision. In 1997, Apple made a surprising decision. They brought Steve Jobs back. When Jobs returned, Apple was close to bankruptcy. He simplified the company and focused on innovation. Soon, Apple released revolutionary products: iMac, iPod, and iPhone. These devices didn't just change technology. They changed how people live, communicate, and work. Apple became one of the most valuable companies in the world. Steve Jobs once said, "Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith." The man who was fired from Apple returned to save it. Proof that failure isn't the opposite of success. Sometimes, it's the path to it.